Hi, this is Sara Levin, the Artful Inker. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the U.S. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing a couple of cards using one of my favorite celebration products, the Paper Blooms Designer Paper. Let's get to the creating. For this card using the Paper Blooms Designer Paper from Celebration, I'm going to start with this piece that has the big watercolor circles on it, and that will be one of our layers. And for our stamping, I'm going to use the Vine Design bundle, which is the Vine Design stamp set, and then these great flowering vine dies. I absolutely love these intricate die cuts. I love that there's a circle, rectangle, and oval. Really good sentiment tag here, and lots of little flowers to cut out. And remember, when you purchase a bundle from my store, you get a 10% discount over purchasing those items separately. So for our sentiment, I'm going to use a piece of Seaside soft seafoam. Sorry about that. Soft seafoam, and my Night of Navy ink, and I'm using the thank you. This card will go out to the next person who orders in my store. So we're just going to make sure we've transferred that well and set that aside for a moment, because we're going to cut that, but I want to finish the stamping. So then I've got this Whisper White layer that I'm going to use for the inside, and the Seaside's, oh my goodness, soft seafoam ink. Let me bring in this piece of scrap paper because I want to ink, and then I'm going to stamp off. So let's ink up in the soft seafoam, and then I want to stamp off, and then I'm going to stamp into the area where you're going to write. And that way it's light enough that you can write right over top of that. Okay, let's put this aside and get my ink out of the way. To die cut our sentiment, I'm bringing in my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I'm loving this little guy. So many of my dies fit in it. And of course, if you purchase it during Celebration, you earn a free Celebration product. So you could purchase this and choose to redeem it, the Celebration product, for the Paper Blooms Designer Paper that I'm showing you today. So I've just used a piece of washi to hold that tag die in place since I stamped first. And then let's bring this back over here, and I'm going to move this now, and I want to shorten my tag. So let's put this back down, and I want my tag to be about this long. So I'm going to put my washi back down and put my plate back on. Remember, don't put anything in front of this line on the plates. That helps the smaller roller catch the die and pull the whole thing through. Let's move this out of the way. Okay, and here we go. There's our sentiment tag. And now we're ready to start and assemble. Oops. Let's put my paper back here. Start and assemble our card. So here is our stamped inside layer. And I've got a Night of Navy base. And let's add that inside layer with multi-purpose glue. This is my favorite adhesive for card making. I use it on almost every project that I make. Okay, and then let's go to the outside, and I've got this cut with those vine design, the flowering vine dies, also cut from Night of Navy. I've got a piece of soft sea foam, and then this piece of Paper Blooms designer paper. Love this almost chevron design on the back there. And we're just going to center this piece. The soft sea foam is cut at a standard layer size of 4 by 5 1/4, and the Paper Blooms designer paper is cut at 3 3/4 by 5. And we're just making sure we've got enough dimensionals on here to hold this layer so that it's not saggy. Celebration is a great time to stock up on your adhesives. I know I like to do that, place an adhesive order and kind of guess what I'm going to use for a few months to come. And then I get to choose a celebration product. Okay, so now we're just going to add a little bit of adhesive here. Now, if you prefer yours to be completely stuck down, then I suggest using the adhesive sheets, and you just apply that to your cardstock before cutting. I do like to leave my outside edges kind of loose. It adds just a little bit of more textural something to the card when they're not glued completely down flat. And let's add dimensionals to the back of this, and then we'll grab our ribbon. A couple of the ribbon combo packs. I'm going to use the navy from the Playing with Patterns pack, and then this gold trim from the Forever Greenery pack. And I'm going to start with just a small figure 8 or zigzag loop, however you want to call that, from the navy. And let's give that a little angle cut and grab our mini glue dots and put a couple of those on to hold this together and to hold it down. So I'm just going to stick this right in here at a little bit of an angle. Let's pull this guy back up on this side. Okay, and then I'm going to add more than just two little loops of the gold so that it has enough oomph to show up. Let's pop that right in there. I think 2 double loops or 4 loops total will be plenty. And I'm going to fray this end just like the other has. It's just a real easy twist there. And want a couple of the mini glue dots again for this. And we're just going to pop this right in here on these so that they look like they're kind of woven together. And then let's put this on, and then we'll add our final embellishment. Let me pull the scissors and ribbon out of the way. So then we're going to add some of the Whale of a Time sequins, and let's get my fine tip glue and can use my putty on my take your pick tool here. And I like to use this extra pinky to kind of help balance my hand. So we're just going to take it and put it down, and then let me grab my tweezer here so that I don't move it. I stuck it a little too hard to my putty end. That's happens sometimes when I touch too hard. Okay, and then let's pop this one down. And I want one of the smaller ones here. It's a medium size. Oop. And pop that one. Oops. There we go. Okay, and then let's turn these over to the cupped side is up. And then we'll pick up with our putty. And add a little adhesive here. These are great contrast on that navy. And they pick up a little additional color, I think. A little reflective. And this one. Oops. Same thing. Let's take this and just make sure it sits. And then let's turn these last two over and put them down. Maybe if we dump them out, there we go. I like to put my glue on the flat side. And then one of the teeny tiny ones here. Okay. Let's move this out of the way, and we're through with the fine tip glue. And then one little last bit of embellishment. Let's grab the gilded gems and the other end of my take your pick, and we're going to use the medium gilded gems and put them down right here. So we've let the designer paper do most of the work for us here, and really just embellished. So that's our first paper blooms card, and I'll be back with another in just a moment. For the second card, we're going to start with the Whisper White layer for the outside of the card. And I've got my Seaside Spray Stampin' Blends and a Night of Navy, the Dark Night of Navy Stampin' Blends. And I'm going to start with the brush tip for each of these and grab my color lifter, and I'm going to put down just a little bit of the dark to give it some texture, maybe a little more here, and then I'm going to come across all of that with my light, and it gives, when we're done, we'll have a watercolorish effect. And then I'm going to come across that with my color lifter and kind of blend them together and out through the paper a little bit. Now we're going to let that dry a moment before moving on to the next step. Let me just cap up these other markers. And while that's drying, let's talk about what's going to happen next. I've got my Paper Blooms designer paper, and I've already cut out a row of the flowers from the paper, and we're going to use that for a layer. So this is dried, and we're going to take the Dark Night of Navy and the brush tip and just speckle on some of the blue so that we get a fine little splatter there. Let's move these out of the way and go ahead and use our adhesive multi-purpose glue and adhere our row of flowers here to what will be our card front layer. And I'm just putting this at a little bit of an angle, and we'll trim that up shortly. I'm going to set that aside and let it dry, and we're going to do a little stamping on the inside layer, and I've got a piece of Whisper White for that. And we'll be using the Vine Design stamp set from the January to June Stampin' Up! Mini Catalog. And let's grab our Petal Pink ink pad, and we're going to be stamping these in the colors from the designer paper. So I'm starting here with the Petal Pink, and we're going lightest to darkest. Let me just close up my ink pads as I move along. And then, since I double mounted, I'm going to take the risk of tapping in the ink. I prefer to tap the ink onto the stamp because you don't get the little halos there. And then we're going to go with soft sea foam and put some leaves in. And then let's tap this so we don't catch an edge. Okay. And then I think I want to come right up here as well. Okay. And then finally we're going to add some Night of Navy flowers. Okay, and I'm going to come right in here where I had my edge that I caught. And right in here. And right up here. And I'm feeling like I'd like a couple of more, so I'm going to bring in my scrap paper and add a couple more of these navy flowers to fill right out here along the edge. Okay, so that's what we're going to do on the inside of the card. Let's move these stamps out of the way and close up my ink pad. And then we're kind of ready to begin building this card. So let's do one more piece here and we'll put it together. So I've already stamped my sentiment with the Mini Messages stamp set, and I've got this great little piece with this tiny scalloped edge, and it's part of the Mini Messages bundle, which comes with the Messages dies. That's what I cut my sentiment with. But I want a layer for that, and I've got my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine here, and a piece of the Seaside Spray cardstock and a Stitch So Sweetly die. And then we're just going to put this through, and I love that so many of my dies fit the mini machine. And it's so small that I can have it out on my workspace all the time. Okay, so let's take our sentiment here and layer it onto our die cut here, the Stitch So Sweetly. Oops. Okay. And then we'll take our Night of Navy base and adhere this piece that we stamped for the inside. And these are just standard pieces. The card base is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and then this layer is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I've got a piece of the Seaside spray, and let me trim this first. Now the Seaside spray is cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 to give us just a narrow border when we layer these up. Okay, and as you can see, I've cut these flowers and left the navy outline on them. It helps them to pop a little more on that white layer. And then of course we need dimensionals. Just making sure we're straight. Okay, and let's add some dimensionals behind our sentiment and put that down just a second before we add our ribbon. Okay, so we're going to use this Seaside spray scalloped linen ribbon, and first I'm going to put down a piece of the tear and tape. I'm just finding my starting edge here and decide how far out from here I want to go, and I'm coming all the way to the edge of the card. Okay, let's put this out of the way, give this a little burnish, and then it'll pull the backing right off. Super easy. And then I want my angled edge here, and I'm going to do kind of a wonky looking scallop instead of just a very neat scallop. So some little twists and turns so that you see both sides of the ribbon. And then let's come in here with my scissors, and we'll add our sentiment now. I need to add dimensionals top and bottom. I wasn't thinking when I put these on. That way it'll stick either side of the ribbon. Okay, and then just a little more embellishment and we're done. We're going to add some of these elegant faceted gems. I love them for their subtle blinginess. There's a word for you, not so much. And we can put lots of these on and kind of mix and match what we're doing. May not put another one in. I do want another one there with it. It's figuring out how its pair is going to be, but this can have lots of little embellishment bits. And this one's going to get a third. And then I think I want to add a couple of rhinestones in here. So let's come up here with this one, and we're going to come down here with this guy, and let's work another couple of these in. I've turned that glue side up, which isn't all that helpful. Okay, 3, 6, 9, 11, we're good. So lots of bling on this simple card using the Paper Blooms designer paper that is free during celebration. If you purchase the mini messages bundle, then you can choose this paper free. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell if you'd like to be notified the next time I upload a video. If you're in the US, use the link in the description below to shop for your Stampin' Up! Products. Share my videos with your card making friends, and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.